Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. So yes, I finally have my Wattson Advanced Guide. So many tips. Yeah, well, you do have an idea because it's on the title and on the thumbnail. But basically, a lot of people have been commenting, waiting for this. It's finally out. Sorry it took me almost a week of Wattson actually being out, but as always with my channel, I like to show the footage of the tips that I'm talking about. And that takes a lot of time to collect that data, to collect the B-roll, the footage, and to get all the tips and sample it together. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will only ask you to hit that like button if you learned something new. If you did, comment down below what you learned, and if I missed something about Wattson that you think is useful, be sure to let everyone else know as well, and the best tip I'll probably pin. But other than that, let's get straight into this because there is a lot, and I'm going to try and speed run this for you as quickly as possible, and we're going to start off basically with her individual skills. Usually I'll break the guides down into like the segments of their skills, but Wattson's skills all kind of intertwine, so I'm going to quickly break them down now and then show you all the tips kind of categorized afterwards. But starting off, her passive is called Spark of Genius, and this has two effects. One, if you use an ultimate accelerant, it instantly charges the ultimate, so you don't have to wait 3 minutes for it, you can just do it instantly. Now, it also recharges your tactical super fast when you have your interception pylon out. They've put this in with the passive. Now, moving on with the tactical, which is called perimeter security, and this is the electric fence. Now, you can stack 4 of these in your inventory, and they take 30 seconds to recharge if you obviously run out or start using them. And you can place a maximum of 12 down at one time. If you try and place a 13th, the original first one will break and it can screw up your entire system, so be careful. Now, each node can only have 2 connections, so it's not like you can attach 11 different fences all to the same one, like a spider web or something. Each node can only have 2 connections to it. It also stuns and damages, so it only stuns for like 1 to 2 seconds, but it damages for like 10 damage every single tick. So if you can keep them in that, it's pretty nice. And this will disengage when teammates go through it, and this is going to be a pretty handy tip later down the road. But it does disengage, the electric fence will disappear temporarily while teammates or yourself run through it. And then if teammates do run into it, as I said, the stun and the damage, but it will also ping to all of your teammates around like where exactly that person went through the fence. And then huge circle shows fence reach limit. So you see that giant circle when you're placing fences and you're like, what is that? Well, that shows the limit of where you can place the next fence that was attached to the one that you previously just placed. And then there's also a small indicator right where your crosshairs are, which are the exact same thing. This is like a circle meter, which gives you a distance of how far you can place it. So there's 2 indications showing you at the same time how far you can place them away from each other. And then the last thing about these is that you can see them through the map. They work a lot like Caustic's gas traps. Now moving on with the ultimate, the interception pylon. You can actually put down more than 1 ultimate, like not like other legends. You can put down 3. Again, if you try and place a 4th, the first one will break. Now, this has a 3-minute recharge, the actual ultimate, as I said earlier, but you do get it completely stocked up if you use an ultimate accelerant. Now, this shoots down enemy bombardments like Gibraltar's ultimate, Bangalore's ultimate, incoming grenades, arc stars, fire grenades, all of that stuff. It doesn't stop bullets, just like the throwables and the big like Caustic's gas trap that he throws, not the little cans like his main ultimate. And then it also, as I said, this is because of the passive, it supercharges your tactical, and your tactical recharges at 30 seconds, right? This ultimate reduces that to around 2 to 3 seconds, so you can literally spam them. Which is another tip. But basically, this also charges your team shield, and I have tested it out. I'm pretty certain I would have noticed it by now, but it doesn't stack if you have 3 different ultimates down at once. It still just adds your shield like normal. But other than that, we're going to move on to all the tips now because there is a ton. So enemy nodes can be used for your own fences. If you find one on the floor, or if it's an actual fence already still lasering, you can use it to your advantage, and it will create these really cool like red and blue laser shows. The best part about it is if you're setting up a base somewhere, you can use the enemy node as a 13th to extend your own fences and increase them. Now, they can be easily destroyed, but you can't like destroy the pole bit. You have to destroy the base, and these can be destroyed with anything: caustic traps, fire, any kind of damage. But with a gun, it's usually a simple, quick 2-tap to destroy them if you're pushing yourself on a Wattson. Now, when you're actually placing like fences to block doors, whatever kind of blockage you're trying to create, make it wide so that they can't just shoot it out by peeking around the door a little bit or an explosive. Just make them as long as possible, and this can actually create a gun immune fence. Like here in bunker, you can't actually see around the door enough to shoot it out. The only way they could destroy that is if they were to throw actual grenades around the corners. Like here, you can see grenades constantly going off besides the doors, and it's just not reaching the fences that are really far apart. Now, the next is a triangle block. This is highly efficient for door blocks, because one layer, that's great, but they can still push through that. But if they push through one layer, they end up trapped in this little pen, and if they try and get out or push further, they're just going to hit it again, and it's just highly efficient. Now, you also have the square box. Sometimes it's more efficient to put one big square box around the room, blocking all the doors, than using 2 nodes on each door. Like here, 4 nodes blocking all doors instead of what would have been 6. Now, you can also block zip lines so efficiently with just one fence going across it. Especially here at Thunderdome, you can cover both of the zip lines with just one fence instead of putting like a massive square around the hole. And if you do have a hole, for instance here, Pathfinder could easily grapple up here without that zip line. I put a triangle around it, so it's more efficient than a square, but it still covers everything. And then moving on, we also have zip lines that auto jump feature. Some of the vertical zip lines, they jump you off at a specific angle, or wow, they jump you off at the same distance every time, and you can predict that like I did there, and saw the enemy coming, where she was going to land, placed those fences down, and gave her like a little immediate stun attack. Now, you can also do stairway blocks. This is a similar gun immune system because they can't actually see the node until they're almost like, they're pretty much touching the electric fence. And this is just a brilliant way to block off stairs where you can place the electric trap over it. Now, you can also block the drop holes on, this is a few spots on the map where it's most efficient at the supply ship. When you see that Bangalore drop down straight into the fence, taking minimum 2 to 3 hits, which is like 20 to 30 damage, it's just so efficient. This pretty much what this whole video is going to be about. And it can be a bit tricky, like they don't go through things, but you can place them on pretty much everything, even very narrow like little walls and beams like that. So they can like go quite vertical, like not purely vertical, but diagonal quite a bit. Now, when you are fighting, just remember these fences can give you a tiny bit of visual cover, especially if someone's got like a one-time sight at 100 meters. They're going to struggle to see you between all the moving blue flashing fences. And then don't be afraid to jump over them. If you've got a little obstacle then you're trying to push on a Wattson, go ahead, just jump over, because it is obviously very realistic. It isn't just going to go up another couple meters. Now, this is one of the highly common tips I use all the time, and that's the landing fence. It's especially effective in Skull Town with those long corridors. You just place a fence behind you, carry on looting as you run, and that stops anyone else that's landing like wanting to push in that direction, and it forces people to go in other ways, or more likely anyway. Now, the bait fence destruction, I crouch, stay silent, pretend I'm not there, and as soon as they start to destroy my fences, I pop out and start shooting them. It means there's less ammo in their mag to shoot me, and they're caught off guard. It might make them panic, little things like that. You can also use the teammate like fence down to bait enemies into walking into it. You walk into it yourself, it goes down for a second, and then when you think the enemy's about to push you, you back up, and then the fence re-engages on top of them if you time it right, and it's just brilliant. And again, a lot of this is timing, but you can also do this move that I call it like the running away bait. But as you see, I've got a Pathfinder here. I know he's going to push me, so I do this like drive-by of the fence, and he gets pushed into the fence, either trying to push me or by my teammate. But either way, it works perfectly for us. Now, separating the enemy, all these are very similar to my caustic video, but you can separate the enemy so efficient. These fences, you can reach quite far when placing them. So reach into a room where there's enemies and just put them everywhere, and you can end up separating the enemies very efficiently. Now, the fences also are another form of decoy. Basically, what happens is you'll always end up having one member of the enemy squad focusing on the fence, trying to shoot it out, and this essentially acts as a decoy because you're having to worry about less people to fight, because one of them's always, at least one of them's always thinking about the fence or trying to shoot it out, and that can allow you to prioritize. Now, constant fences. This is something I think a lot of Wattsons are missing out on at the moment, especially if you've got a whole team together. Watson, constantly place your fences. You can have up to 12, and the enemies get so scared when they just see electric in an entire room. And Watsons get too gun focused. You've got to support your team. You've got to keep the room fenced up. Now, legendary camouflage. I know you're thinking what, but this black and blue legendary, I would suggest buying it, because the amount of times people struggle to see me because of the black and the blue effect in all of the fences and the ultimates, especially in some of the darker rooms. But I've had people just walk past me thinking I'm like just part of the electric setup. And another little joke one, you're going to get a lot of compliments. There's a lot of people online that are like, wow, beautiful. It's like, okay, bro, let's wait till you grow up a little bit. But basically, you can do quick stuns. This is something if you feel like mucking around, want to have a bit of fun, because they are almost instantaneous. It's like 0.5 to a second reaction time from when you place the fences. So you could just run up, stun people if you're feeling a bit ballsy. Now, instantly control movement. In the same aspect, just placing the traps down can force people to move in certain directions, because obviously they're not going to want to go towards the big electric fences that are going to stun them, right? Now, jump tower trip wires. You can do this if you like, but basically this is going to stop people from being able to use the zip wire without giving away their position, unless they're Octane or Pathfinder and just grapple up, but they'll have to shoot it out or something which will give away their position. Now, inside buildings, you can also create narrow corridors. Placing a fence on the inside, not just the outside, creates a narrower corridor for people that do push in. Now, you've also got the layered defenses. Again, one of the most, I'd say, effective layouts for it. But basically, this layered system, it just gives you that double, triple, quadruple protection. No matter how many layers it is you're going to add, it's always going to be better than one. It's going to discourage people from pushing, especially if you're on air base and there's not much hiding spots. You can just put like 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. Now, open ground zigzag. When you're in open ground, putting layered defenses is good, but they're quite easily destroyable and predictable. But if you put like zigzags in different directions, it's going to be harder for the enemy to predict which ones to shoot out to take out the layers. Now, in the final circles, if you can see the circle and you got a bit of balls on you, you can basically just place those electric fences around where the next circle is, and then as it closes in, all the enemies are going to be forced into it, because most of the time they're going to be too busy focused on the chaos that is the enemies. They're not focusing on trying to shoot these little like mechanical dots on the floor. Now, third party controlling. Whenever there's fights going down, always try and block off the choke points all around you, because it's so easy to get third partied in this game, and if you block off choke points, people are going to be less likely to want to push you, and they're going to fight each other instead. Now, another little tip on these high locations, like here and the airbase, there's a little lip, and you want to place the node behind that lip, and it makes it like people can't shoot it out when they're at eye level. They need to be like slightly above to be able to shoot it out. So that's obviously very effective. Now, the only thing about these big high up defenses is Pathfinder Octane can over the top. So do like a little cross in the middle. That's usually what I do, just a simple cross. It's going to prevent any Pathfinders wanting to grapple over, Octanes wanting to jump over. And similarly, you don't have to do a cross. I sometimes do a snake just around, filling up the entire area. But this way, again, just prevents them wanting to come up. And since I've been getting used to Wattson, Pathfinders just don't zip line up to me anymore. But again, similar to Caustic, you can trap players in. Like here, we've trapped them in. They blocked the doors, and I was like, nope, flame grenade at the bottom. Now, moving on, we've got fence up KO'd teammates. This is basically going to be a whole visual distraction, a bit of everything there. They're going to be less likely to push because of the fences. And again, it's just generally going to give your downed teammates a much higher chance. Like here, we didn't actually manage to get him, but it still prevented him from getting full killed. Again, you can bait KO'd enemies. So if you've managed to knock down a few enemies, you're wondering where the other one is, just trap them up in a circle if you feel like mucking around a little bit, as like it's all about having fun with this game, right? And I do this way too often since I found out about it, and it's good every now and then. But yeah, when it comes to running away, you want to be layering those like fences across the path. This is going to be highly effective for running away, because yeah, they could run for it, but it's going to stun them, giving you a bit of a head start. It's going to destroy it, which means they're going to give away their position. Little things like that. Now, if you get an ultimate accelerant early game, pop it. If you get Wattson's ultimate, it's basically increasing her power by like 10, or well, technically 3, because you get but it just gives her so much more potential. So moving on with probably the most common thing about her ultimate that I actually use it for is blocking doors. It's so useful for blocking doors. Obviously, it's going to be very exposed if they break the door, and then they can just break the ultimate. But like here, in Platinum Ranked with 5 squads in the tiniest circle, we've got the doors blocked, we're sorted, we're feeling pretty safe. I'm going to tell you, we lost this game pretty bad. I was mucking around, I shouldn't have been, but they're absolutely brilliant. Like right here, I've been shot to low health, got someone chasing me, I'm in this 2-door house, put my ultimate down, that blocks 1 door, I block the other door, I get to heal up nice and safely, and then I can come out and take on the guys that thought they had me. But the ultimate can essentially act like a physical decoy that blocks the door. The only problem is it does take 3 minutes to recharge. So if you do find multiple ultimate accelerants, that's good. And another tip, if you can place 3 ultimates, right? So always carry 1 ultimate accelerant minimum. If I have at least a purple backpack, I'll always carry 2, because they're just so useful. But make sure if you're using it purely to like stop grenades and explosives, that kind of thing, make sure it has a lot of space around it. It won't zap things through walls, and it can be a little bit delayed on things that come around the corners and hit floor like a feet away. And you can also climb on them, which you can't do with caustic gas traps. You can climb on Wattson's ultimate, which means if there's a certain little bit of wall you can't quite climb up, just place the ultimate and you can get up there. And it's also good for cover. I think it has roughly around 100 to 150 health before it breaks, but I do know it's saved my life plenty of times and blocked plenty of bullets that would have killed me. And then you can again use the ultimate as a decoy. This is what I was saying, in this situation, I literally used it as a decoy. I put it out into the middle thinking, okay, there's people everywhere, just put it out, they'll start shooting at it, and then I can shoot at their bullet lines. In this situation right here, we're in the open. It's so easy to get third-partied in these situations. There's not too many choke points and they're too easily accessible. So just grab the nearest building, just run to that building. You can dip and dive so easily in this game. So just all your teammate rush to the nearest building, hold it up. It's going to prevent those third parties so beautifully. Now, because you're Wattson, because you're very highly defensive, in these high locations, make sure you're always looking up, because when you have a Wattson on your team, it's going to encourage enemy Pathfinders and Octanes to take you from above. Now, moving on to base transfer. Essentially, a lot of the time you're holding teams off with your fences, and if you need to move to a different location because of the circle, try and wait till the teams get into a fight around you and use that distraction to quickly zip to the different base you're transferring to and then set up that location. And this is going to bring us to the final aspect of the video, which is save one ultimate per end circle. So by this I mean, if you've got spare ultimate accelerants, don't place all three at once, even though it is tempting to. I've done it plenty of times. The most efficient thing, and is probably the best thing I'm going to be doing for ranked when I get a proper team together, is when the circle changes, we instantly rush into that new circle, or we do it when it's more safer, and we just take over. The Wattson of the group puts down the ultimate, places 12 fences everywhere. We keep pushing the fences outer and outer and outer, giving us more and more space, and then that gives you enough time to pop heals, pop another ultimate accelerant, and then we know where the next circle is. We again rush to that next circle, place down the ultimate, place down the fences, and control the situation. And even though, right here, it's not going great, those fences, me just placing them all around, are acting as an almost attack system while my teammates can be aggressive themselves. And even though it ends up just me, the Pathfinder, because of all these fences that I'm constantly placing while he's trying to fight my teammates, ends up getting absolutely wrecked. But I hope you enjoyed the video. As I said, if you did learn something from this, let me know in the comments, smash the like button. Other than that, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I shall catch you all another time. Adios.
Bye YouTube. Please leave a subscribe and drop a fat like.